All right, maybe we should just start and just kind of see what happens. Microphone over to you, Maggie. Take it away.
Okay, welcome everyone. It's lovely to see you all, it really is. I'm Maggie from Alternative Arts, and we've initiated this idea of having a women's network for East London because we wanted to have, this has no boundaries at all. I mean, no borough boundaries. It goes right for women right across East London to connect with each other, to talk about ideas. We've got Women's History Month coming up, which you may or may not know we coordinate. And when I say that, I mean it's your ideas that we put together in a programme so that everybody can begin to listen and learn about women's history, which has for centuries and centuries been ignored, as we all know. And so we thought that it would be a really good idea to people to be able to come together and just talk about anything that they feel that they would like to talk about. We teamed up for the first early meetings with the People Speak, because we felt that this was a good way of getting people to actually be able to talk, and no one person dominates the meeting, certainly not me. I'm just here to introduce you and say to myself to you, and to say I'm handing over to Margot, who sort of like helps you get all going, and that's how it is, but it's your show.
Thank you. Yeah, we can do actually actual hand clap. Like, how about that? Why not? So welcome. Thank you, Maggie. So this is a Talkaoke pop-up talk show. I know some people have experienced it online, but not anyone experienced it in real life. This is the first one for everyone. Not to worry. So this is a pop-up talk show. The way this works is there is no agenda apart from, okay, there's a theme, but really it's up to everybody around the table to decide on the direction of the conversation. I am just merely passing the microphone around, and sometimes I will get the right sound effect to play. And obviously there are people online, so welcome people online. First of all, what we like to kick off with is a round of names. I'm Margot. Shall we start with yourself? Yeah? What's your name?
I'm Jebba Khanam. I work for Tower Hamlets Council, Early Help. I'm a volunteering officer. I've been newly appointed 3 weeks ago. Lovely to meet you all.
Welcome, Jabba.
Hi everyone, I'm Natalie. I work for Outside Edge Theatre. We're down the road at Whitechapel. I'm quite new to the team as well. I'm about a month in, so yeah, it's really nice to get to know about the area and what's in London.
Fab, welcome. Was it? Yeah, remind me your name. Sorry.
Natalie.
Natalie, welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Sharon Dillon. I work for Tower Hamlets, newly appointed last week. So,
what's going on here?
Quite, I think, newbies, yes.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Sharon. And go next.
Hi, I'm Leslie Jallow. I'm not quite such a newbie, but also from Tower Hamlets.
Fab, thanks, Leslie.
Hello, I'm Claire, and I moved to London just over a year ago, and just finished drama school, and it's nice to meet you all.
Welcome, Claire. Yeah, pass it on.
Hi, I'm Laura. I moved to London 6 years ago now, and I work at Genesis Cinema, so very close as well, near Stepney Green Station. Yeah, very happy to be here.
Yeah, big up the Genesis Cinema. Yes.
Hello, I'm Holly. I'm the associate producer of Purple Moon Drama, which is a youth arts organisation based in East London, and I'm also publishing a book. So there we go.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Some cool people around here, yeah.
It's fantastic. I'm Anna, and I'm a theatre maker, theatre director, and I've lived in Hackney for a number of years, and also contributed to History Month with Maggie.
Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a photographer, and I've worked with Maggie on the Women's History Month, and I'm exhibiting at the moment an exhibition of women at work in Bethnal Green at the Oxford House.
Lovely, welcome.
Hello, I'm Kim. I'm also very new to my job, but I work for World Heartbeat Music Academy, and we're starting a music project for young people in Tower Hamlets.
Wonderful, thank you and welcome.
Hello, my name's Anita. I live in Tower Hamlets, and I was part of Lady Lane Market. It was an all-female market for that happened just before the pandemic. Also part of East End Trade Skills as well. So nice to meet everyone.
Wonderful.
Hiya, I'm Jess. I moved to London 6 years ago from Canada. I just moved to Stoke Newington, finished a master's at Central St. Martin's, and now working in sound and radio production, and just finished a radio broadcast on around COP27.
Amazing. Okay, so this is all the kind of, I'm just going to give you a round of applause, and I'm going to move over to our people online. People online, I'm going to ask your names, but also, could you let us know, can you hear us okay? Yeah?
One person trying to get in on their own.
Are they trying to get in? Oh, well done, well done. That's Naomi joining us. Right, who wants to kick us off, online crowd? Who wants to introduce themselves first?
Hi, I'm Sabrina. I'm joining from Vienna, so Vienna, Austria, that is. We're just here to check out what you guys doing and how the whole table situation works.
Amazing, thank you. What's the weather like in Vienna? Is it cold? Is it, what's happening
it's
there?
London-ish. It's raining and it's cold, so yeah, pretty much the same probably.
Yeah, it sounds very London. Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining, Sabrina. Who's next? Who's the next brave person?
Hi, I'm Beate, and I'm the colleague of Sabrina. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Beate. Are you also joining from Vienna?
Yes, and yeah, same here. Very cold and rainy.
Right, it seems quite more sunny on your side, but it could be just the screen perception. I
turned the light on.
Fab. Welcome, Beate. Who's next? Who else have we got there?
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm the Arts and Wellbeing producer for St Margaret's House, which is an arts charity in Bethnal Green. Nice to meet you all.
Hello. Thank you for joining us, Laura. Yes? We've got Naomi.
Hello.
There she is. Hello.
I'm Naomi from Tower Hamlets High Streets team, so kind of here representing Lady Lane Market, and then also my own personal thing, I do kids business courses, helping young people start and run their own business, so kind of thinking if there's anything we can do for the young ladies that I work with.
Fantastic. All right, so now that we've got kind of an understanding of who is in the room, oh yes, Mikey, you've got your hand up. Oh, yeah. What? Anything? Right, great. So good. And we've got Laura over there. And if I say Laura, not Laura, it's because we've got Laura and Laura in the room. So please bear with me. So this is it. Like, which direction would you like to take this? We can talk about, obviously we're here to discuss some of the fantastic initiatives that you are already involved in, but also we are here in East London, and it's a gathering of women. Is it important? Like, does it need to happen? Like, do people need to know what women are doing in particular? Also, we've got people kind of from the international perspective. I mean, how much of the international perspective is playing into what is happening in Tower Hamlets? And also, people have been involved already in Women's History Month in the past. I mean, what are your predictions? What's going to happen in 2023? What would you like to happen? What would you like to kind of instigate and kind of put out there? The floor is open to you. I'm going to slowly wind down talking, and just any direction you want to take. And we've got a new person over there as well. Come and join us. You'll pick up the pieces, I am sure. But yeah, so Women's History Month next. Yeah, it's in a few months' time. What should be happening there? What's going on? What are the priorities?
Childcare. Why isn't the government funding childcare so that women can get back into the workplace?
Right, so childcare, I mean, is the government not funding it enough? Like, how much would be enough? What would you like to see happening more?
The regulations are such that the cost is too high. So the government needs to think about high quality care that allows women to work in a way. And employers, it should be free, of course, it should be free.
Okay, childcare, yeah? You need to grab the mic, Maggie. You know how this works. You know how this works.
Well, I'm not in the middle of the room. I'm just saying we have always been campaigning for free state childcare from day one, because that's the only thing that will seriously liberate women to being able to live their lives and work and be creative and do exactly what they want to do. And they can choose whether they use it or not, but it should be there for everybody, and it should be free. After all, state school, you go to school, that's free. Maybe. But anyway, it should be free.
Okay, so childcare should be free. You've dropped in a big one there, which is women's liberation. I mean, I'm not going to just leave it there. Like, what does it mean? Okay, childcare is part of it, or is this it? Is it is it just like the basic kind of fundament of female liberation? I mean, is that a thing anymore? I mean, do we need to, does it need to happen more? And childcare. Anybody's got views on that or anything at all in that direction? It's a silence, but I'm not afraid of silence, Ekon.
Yeah, I agree with what they say. I mean, my son's really grown now. He's 27, but I did find that I had to sort of give up what I really wanted to do when he was younger to find something that would work around him, like getting a term time only job. So yeah, I do agree with what the ladies have said about childcare. Just sort of to reduce costs for myself, I took on a job, which I shouldn't really have. I should go for what I want, really. And I ended up doing something that would work around him, so I wouldn't have to keep spending so much money on nurseries or etc. during holidays and stuff like that. So I agree with what the other lady said.
Okay, so free childcare would definitely make a difference to you personally as well.
I just want to add on that obviously as a volunteering officer, do you have young parents that have had children, 2 or 3, and are struggling to go back to work due to childcare, and they have lost their confidence, and when you've been unemployed for 2-3 years and you've got young children, you really do need a lot of support, and what it looks like is a change of direction. You change as a person, and we definitely need to support parents, young parents.
Okay, so it's also, I feel like it's about kind of building your confidence up after you have had a child, and it seems like it's not plain sailing for sure, and on top of that you have to kind of cover these costs, get a job. Maybe it's not your ideal job, maybe you're not realising your full potential, but what are the alternatives? Can we just campaign and get the government to just sort it out? I mean, is there something happening? And hello, welcome, new face, give us your name on the mic.
I'm Sabjit.
Sabjit, welcome. Yes, so you can join this conversation at any point. My arm stretches very far. So yeah. I mean, what was people's experience of this? I mean, childcare. I mean, is that something that kind of concerns you? I mean, is there more to a female liberation than childcare? I mean, what does it look like from the kind of theatre perspective? What's kind of happening?
I mean, from what I can see in Genesis Cinema, in any case, is that everyone struggles in culture at the moment anyway, but it does mean that because there's an inequality in what's expected of women, we work with very young people, so I can't think off the top of my head of someone who still at the moment or yet has to look after a child and has that specific issue in mind, but I'm just thinking in case of if that ever happened, I can't see that happening in that environment because of, 0-hour contracts and very low rates, very low salaries and living wages, and so it's just very difficult already for people who don't have to look after a child. So I can't imagine how I myself am thinking of I'm currently settling down, and I'm thinking in the next, let's say, 5 years I might want a child, and I'm thinking, okay, so where should I leave culture? Because at the moment it's not necessarily doable in terms of not only money, but in terms of late hours, events, coordinating and doing all of that work, which is I don't, and also because I come from France and I have in my head all of those my mum could always find someone to look after me, and then it was always very easy. And now when I worked in schools a little bit here, and I'm just can't see, not that many parents would come after 3:30 p.m. and be able to leave. They would all have had to be in part-time jobs, and I'm always very confused at how that works, and how is it all relying on them to make that work. So yeah, it's a lot of things that I think in culture a lot of things seems to need to change to make that easier.
Yeah, no, and I think what you kind of brought in there is like working in culture. Is that some kind of like, I don't know, I don't know what the word is. Is it some kind of like a hobby almost? Like, is it enough? Like, can you actually maintain your family and pay for childcare and have a reasonable career in culture, or do you have to just make choices and okay, well, you know, do people just have not enough time to engage in culture and feel in charge of their own life choices? Somebody had a hand up. You first, and then I'm gonna pass it on. And sorry, I was just say people online also, if you've got views, just raise your human hand or the Zoom hand. You know how it goes, and chip in by all means. Yes.
Just touching on the point of childcare, so Purple Moon Drama, the organisation that I produce for, we are a female-led organisation, and one of our key projects that we do is providing summer holiday, half-term, Easter drama clubs, essentially for young people in East London, and we offer them free for anyone who's on universal credit, and the fees are subsidised for anyone. Basically, it's you know, we wanted to create something. There's lots of, you know, drama clubs and things for young people, but not many for families from low income, you know, so we wanted to create something that was going to support particularly women wanting to get back into work, and obviously with cost of living crisis and, you know, having time off over the school holidays, we wanted to provide a service that would support that. So I just wanted to put that out into the space. We also offer every child a hot meal at the drama clubs as well, and yeah, we're kind of championing to see more of this and create more of this.
I mean, can I ask, like, is your initiative quite unique? Like, why are you doing all these? Where did the need kind of come from? And is this the kind of early help, you know, you would like to see happening? Is this what you mean when you talk about, you know, support to families and childcare? Is this one of the things? Or are you talking earlier? But I'm just curious, where is this coming from? Where is the idea that you should do these things?
Yeah, again, well, we're a youth arts organisation, so our focus has always been on young people, and you know, we felt like we noticed a gap in the market. Again, there's lots of drama clubs, lots of expensive, you know, extracurricular activities to get your children involved in, but we felt that they were isolating almost young girls, young children from families who can't necessarily afford to send them to things. And, you know, families can't, especially with half terms and summer holidays, is like 6 weeks. You know, it's a long time to have your kids. Can you go to work? You know, if you're finding childcare in that time. So the idea really came from, again, just wanting to support. We're a female-led organisation, so of course the girlies are always at the front of our minds. But yes, just supporting people through those times and helping people stay in work, and also keeping young people involved in the arts at low cost.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Maybe there's some views from this side of the table, but I believe yourself you had a hand up. Take it away. People online are still listening pensively.
When you said about artists and amateurs, that really hit a very sensitive spot, because I think for women, childcare and provision in the arts is, I mean, we've all got so many stories about how we've changed our lives because of being creatives and having families. And there is no synergy, and it's a little bit like working in government. There's absolutely no provision. And one really fast, quick story would be as a director working at the Royal Court and having a tech on my daughter's 4th birthday, and saying to the person who I was training with, I want to be at home for her 4th birthday. I was the only person in the building with a child. And when the picture of her fell out of my Filofax, people went, what's that? So, you know, the culture is really, really very slow. And there's a campaigning group of parents in the arts for childcare, which some of you will be aware of, but it's really, really active. And I think that I think the role of women in the arts has been erased as well through the lack of childcare and the lack of support, because there's so many examples of like Augustus John and then Gwen John, who is behind Augustus John, because those women are great artists, but have had to support their families and pick up the domestic load, really.
Okay, so there's this whole kind of thing. Is it even... It seems like it was a very strange experience for your colleagues then, acknowledging that you had a child. So maybe it's not, doesn't go...
I mean, being a woman in the arts and is difficult enough already, and then when you add a family to that, I mean, we've all got intersectional burdens and trillions of burdens, but that's one of them.
Okay, so being a woman in the arts, trying to do something creative, and just keep working as well. Just keep doing what you enjoy doing. Also, it doesn't go unnoticed that we've got people from different kind of international perspectives as well. We've got Canada, France. We've got obviously Austria, I believe, and maybe other perspectives there as well. I mean, is that something? I'm just going to go straight to people online. I mean, what do you kind of make of any of this? What do you think about this idea of women working in the arts? Is it still such a shock in Vienna? Is it a shock in Canada, France? What's going on? Do you have any tips for us? Is there a better way of doing it? These are my questions. But if anybody wants to just throw something in, please do. People online and also in person, yes.
No, I just think that also it goes back to education. I mean, the arts are being cut so badly that so many kids, whether they're boys or girls, just don't have the opportunity to do any music, drama, creative activities. And so therefore, maybe they don't really know about going to your kind of projects. And I think that's one of the worst things that's going on at the moment.
I mean, could there be some kind of a fun course in, I don't know, parenting? Or, I don't know, I don't mean parenting, but, it just makes me think that maybe people just don't get it. Maybe your colleagues just didn't, it just wasn't their life choice. They decided not to have a child. So it just seems like,
You've got a backlash now, haven't you, against culture anyway. So, it feels like something that's an add-on at the moment that we don't really deserve because it's been slashed. And it's the same with facilities for children, like after-school facilities, creche facilities, any of that stuff. I mean, a lot of creche facilities and after-school facilities would have supported creativity for kids with music, with drama, with art. I mean, it's just not there, is it? So this lady here and her setting off this theme about childcare is really wide-ranging and impactful.
But also, I think, I just wonder, because when you said, and I'm going to come straight to you, and also I've got a new face over there. What's your name? Give us your name. Shout it to the microphone or pass it on.
Hi, I'm Sylvia.
Hey Sylvia, welcome. Maybe you've got some views already, maybe you just need to warm up a little bit. But when you just said about art, creativity, that's some kind of an add-on. A lot of people are like, it feels like it's a bit of an add-on. I mean, like, who feels that? Maggie, I know you've said loads, and loads of people didn't say anything, so I will put you on hold. Maybe I could do some kind of hold music. No, I'm not going to. Yes, just grab the mic and come closer.
One of the things that we're finding in this borough, and it's coming... Oh, sorry?
Yes, closer to your mouth.
Issue we're finding in this borough is that a lot of the schools are now dropping the art subject anyway. I mean, it goes back to the whole childcare thing as well, because if the schools are dropping the arts, who is actually following it up? And there's a massive, massive drop in the arts in this borough in all subjects, from drama to graphic. Drama's actually been affected really seriously, but also through the visual arts, the art and design practice, all sorts, graphics, everything is being affected. So it's actually then going further on that it's impacting on universities because they can't recruit. As well. I mean, there's another crisis there because of student fees, but one of the things that we're trying to do, and we've been working with Maggie for years and years, is how we can get young people to think that the creative industry is a positive industry for them and there's opportunities. And, funny enough, we have a lot of female students who take up the opportunity for that. And then, later on in life, the whole issue of childcare becomes an issue. But you know that working in the creative industry can be quite flexible. But it's the pathway they take as well. You know, there isn't just one way, there's lots of ways they can make it work around them. But the most important thing is getting them to listen to that and getting them involved and engaged. That's what I do. And I was just listening to our friend over there. So we're 18 Arts Education, where we run free. We don't even charge anything for anybody. And it's open to all young people from 11 till to when they're 18, 19 in fact. So we are there to encourage young people to get into the arts in whatever pathway they want to as well. And I think the free is really important, because there is a lot of emphasis and a lot of organisation outside of this borough get money to do projects in this borough, but they don't know the borough. And I think they use the opportunity in a most disrespectful way. Whereas there are organisations who, based in this borough, should be given that money, because they know what the need is in this borough. Sorry.
No, that's really good. And also, this is. You got a round of applause in more ways than one. But I think it is important to mention this is almost connecting things on a kind of grassroots level. So maybe it is about also creating those alliances and letting people know that actually we've got our ear to the ground. We know what people are asking for. We know what our kids need. And you know, we can kind of put it in motion. Also, I would like to mention that Laura, who's sitting there just kind of tucked away, she's actually visualizing what we're talking about. So be careful what you say. Actually, don't be careful. Just say anything that comes to your mind. But Laura is doing some visualizations. Yeah, she's over there. She's now on the screen. And this is, oh, right. So this looks, wow, first thing that it made me think of is some kind of delicious dessert. Like a scoop of ice cream. But we've got people, we've got women. Laura, what's going on there? What's on that one? World soup. No, it's fine. This is waterproof and electrically safe, so don't worry.
So firstly, I want to point out that I'm using the DALI artificial intelligence program to just put phrases and kind of see what the program has to come up with in terms of visuals. So for this one, I start very simple. I just, describe to you guys sitting around the table. But my addition was space and kind of a earth in the background. But instead of the pink table, it came up with women sitting in a circle around the planet, a pink planet. Which wasn't my intention, but this is what came up with, and I really liked it. So
the element of chance, very, very, very pretty, very interesting as well.
You can see faces, but they are
fab.
Not very sharp.
Thank you, Laura. So we'll let you kind of carry on experimenting. Thank you very much. But I'm also curious about this whole thing about the creative industry. Oh, it's a friendly industry, but somehow drama is not part of this industry. Is film part of this industry? I mean, what is so particular about drama that's so off-putting to getting funding? So that's one thing I'm just curious about. Is it going to be just DALI all the time and kind of visualizations, visual arts? Is this what the government thinks creativity is? Maggie, you had your hand up like a million years ago. Is there anything interesting? And I'll come to you, Maggie.
Sorry, what's your name again? Yeah. Sabji. Yeah, she answered a question I was going to ask, which was, I find with young people, when there's provision, after school stuff, it always kind of stops when they get to year 6. And when you said that yours caters for 11s to 18s, because it's a lot of secondary school children, during summer holidays, they're stuck. They don't have anywhere to go. Maybe they're a little bit too old, or they feel that it just doesn't cater for their age group. So to know that there's provision for that age group, which is a very important age group to capture, because that's the pubescent ages, etc. It's good to know that there is stuff for 11 to 18-year-olds. That's all I want.
Okay, no, that's really, really good. Maggie, well, you've got a quick response there, Sabji, and then we'll come to you, Maggie. Yeah, grab the mic.
I was going to say, I think one of the problems we have in this borough is that they don't like working with young people, or the youth service is so decimated that there wouldn't have been a problem with any year sixes because they would have been doing the transition program. There's an organisation being commissioned to do that. So are they doing the job? Are they going into the primary schools? I think they're doing a pretty good job, but this is the whole problem, is that we haven't got a really good, thorough youth service in this borough. I think it was last year, I can't remember when I was made redundant from it, that they had a very damning head who just really decimated it, which means that there isn't the provision, whereas in many years ago we had this summer university, lots of fantastic things that young people can embrace on, even like drama school. They had a little bite, a little sort of an insight, week courses, 2 weeks, and we used to do fashion program, and that's all gone. Why has it stopped? I mean, exactly the question needs to be asked. We need to ask not the mayor of London, but our own mayor. Luckily, we've got a new mayor who's much more sympathetic to young people, but we do need to ask them, why is this provision stopped? Because there's a desperate need for it. And the problem we have, one other is that the young people, when they transition, when they're in primary school, they're very keen, very articulate, they know that art's really important to them. But when they go into secondary school, that enthusiasm is just, wiped out of them. That's why the transition work is really important, that we need to get them, because they're the future. And if we lose them, so by the time they get into year 9, they don't know what art is. It's boring, but we need to get them earlier. That's why we do the year 6. So we've got a programme, Arts and Crafts, coming up for 2 weeks that's geared towards the year 7s, so that we keep them motivated.
So multiple points there. Yes, thank you very much. You've made lots of different points, but so there's a cut-off point at year 6, and then it's just like some kind of a dark hole. No one knows what's happening with the young people. There's also the question of Tower Hamlets, where you at? What's going on? Who's in charge here? Who's doing something for young people? I know you had your hand up as well. And also there are provisions, so it's about kind of connecting this up and just seeing what's going on. And also, is everything boring when you're a young person? Is this how it is? Is it our responsibility to enthuse young people? Is just the age that they're going through? I'm going to come to yourself, and then to yourself, and to you.
I just wanted to quickly mention the fact that obviously we've gone through lockdown, and everybody's mental well-being and feeling emotional and having anxiety and depression. Arts, creativity really does help, and I don't think it's underestimated, it's not appreciated, and I just think people don't get it. But unless you don't explore it and you don't get the feel of it, you won't actually know the full impact of it. So it's actually really, really important now more than ever to actually expand it more.
Thank you very much for this, and I think there is something that COVID has done and kind of made us realise just before how important creativity is really. But before our kind of Vienna correspondence completely disappears, Sabrina, do you want to just give us your final thought? I know you can. Thank you for joining us for a little bit, but is there anything that kind of stands out for you? Anything you'd like to just chip in before you go?
Not much, no. I mean, that's not my theme, not my what do you say? How do you say it?
Your area of expertise.
Not much to add to it. I mean, childcare here in Vienna is different than probably it is in the UK or in London. I have no insight in the arts world.
But you know what? I just wonder, what are the big themes for the arts in Austria? What do people talk about there? What's the kind of the main thing? Are there any initiatives for women there?
I have no idea. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, thank you for joining us anyway. Hopefully this was...
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for connecting up, and
Bye-bye.
Speak to you soon, Sabrina. Take care. Right, okay, so linking it back to what you were saying, okay, so the arts and the creativity, seems like some people, maybe from the council, did they not get the memo that art actually is helpful in maybe even building confidence as well, and people re-engaging with the world post having a child. I'm going going to come. I know I said you and you, but you had your hand up earlier. I
think Naomi might have had her hand up online as well. Yeah.
Oh, is that what you were saying?
No,
but now that you've got... But, okay, Naomi, do you want to chip in?
Hello, yeah, sorry, it was way back, but I'll just...
Apologies.
I was gonna say for that. It was just to say that with all the provisions, I think there's quite a lot of provisions that they have in the holidays, and there's sometimes the ones where they give food and stuff. One thing I have found is they're usually like at a very awkward time of like 10 till 3, so it then still doesn't help the working parents. So I think there needs to be some sort of something brought up in that sense, that if you're helping working parents and putting on activities for kids, do it so that the parents can still drop them off and pick them up in working hours.
And how has it been working out, Naomi? Have you noticed, how has it been providing those services? Did you get any feedback? How is it all kind of looking?
So it's not me personally, it's just the ones that I've seen advertised in not just Tower Hamlets, but other boroughs as well. Sometimes the timings are like, I think they do it like 10 till 3 rather than a normal 9 till 3, for example. So they try to do it within the school times, but I just find sometimes it's not helpful still for working parents as much as the provision is there.
Okay, so apparently there is stuff happening in Tower Hamlets, and it's actually quite well kind of organised. You had a view, maybe about this, maybe something that we said 10 minutes ago, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's quite a general point. I think overall the kind of access is limited by how do you know about it? It's always inconsistent. Where do you find out about services? Where do you find out about non-profits? It's always a bit inconsistent, and then that's just within a borough, let alone from one borough to the next, like what's available to people, and the equality of that as well. The organisation I work for is across different boroughs, and it's stark what's available to people in one place compared to the other, and that's just within London, like let alone across the country, or beyond that really. So that's just a point I have quite generally.
Yeah. I mean, how do people how do they actually genuinely find out about stuff that's relevant and useful? I mean, is this forum kind of working? Is it a bit random? Like, or does it have to be something more centralised? Does it have to come from the government, from Sadiq Khan, from the new mayor? Where's it coming from? Who's supposed to... Okay, you say it should come from the ground, but how do you envisage it?
I think she's been waiting to say something. If you've got no, go on.
I think you win this microphone. There you go. And
I feel
I'm giving you a round of applause. So you just carry on.
I was just going to say something earlier. I think on looking at, so we do run provision for secondary school right up to 25, but I think something else happens, particularly for women and girls, where the other pressures become so much. So I've got a lot of young girls come and say, I love singing, but actually my dad says I have to focus on my exams now, or I have to help at home, or there's all these other pressures going on. So I wonder what age it is you start to lose that confidence or think, this is a hobby, it's not something I'm supposed to pursue. So I think there's other things going on there as well.
Yeah, but so that's a really good point. And also, how do you think, what do these young girls need to kind of build up the confidence and say to their dad, actually, it's not a hobby? How to support them best? I mean,
I guess it's like advocating for themselves, and we do some mentoring, so we try and support them to do that. But it's really difficult when there's a whole kind of society built around them that says actually your exams are the most important thing because you won't be able to do anything without that. But there's so many studies on what kind of music or what the arts does for you in terms of your self-confidence and your aspirations. So I'm not sure why that message isn't kind of getting out. But.
Yeah. And parents, I think they can be a very kind of influential power over young people. Also, I just want to put it out to the cheap seats over there. We never got your name. Can you give us your name as well? Sorry, grab the mic.
Hi, my name's Patricia and I'm a local resident. I've literally just come along today because I'm off work at the moment, so I just thought, come and see what's happening.
Fab. And is there anything kind of here that kind of resonates with you, Patricia? Anything about childcare? Anything about, should the government, local government do more, or should we just do more because we're local, you're a local resident? What's...
Okay, I don't have children, so in regards to childcare, I don't really have an opinion on that. But apart from, I love the Rangers little kindergarten. Does everybody know that one in this area? Like Bethnal Green Park, there's like a kindergarten there, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and they do campfires and they're outside all the time, so go and have a look next time you're in the area. I think it's really something
check it out.
Yeah, it's something that looks amazing. I think in general, for some of the young people I do know, like my friend's daughter, she goes to after school club, which seems to be good, and I think that's quite cost effective, I think, for most parents, I believe. Other than that, I don't really know much else.
But you know, it is interesting because like the art world, women in the art world, they're women who have got children quite clearly, but also not. Or people who are planning children or maybe not planning them at all. And, you know, are these two different agendas in a way? Are we campaigning for two different things there? And, you know, what is people's experience just in general as women in the creative industries? Is it just always kind of, you know, yeah, we're doing amazing stuff, but we're not getting the recognition. This should be more kind of happening, but where do I get the information from? You know, where are we at as women in kind of East London? I think we're mostly here in Tower Hamlets, but really I think... I don't know, is everybody here from Tower Hamlets or connected to Tower Hamlets? Are we here, anyone from Hackney or anywhere? Yeah, okay, right. Did you have your hand up? Yeah.
It's not really, I guess not really related to what you've just said, but
Perfect.
just in terms of, as it's because I work in the cinema, I work in programming, it doesn't really have anything to do with, you know, local kind of, it's what we decide within the cinema to give recognition to women. That's kind of where my, you know, what I can do stops. But that's still, you know, there is a discrepancy in how much work women put into, you know, making films, for example, and how much they get recognition and how much they're put on the screen and or how much they get funding. And we've, you know, even though we've worked with so many charities and people and groups who work to celebrate women, the numbers are still basically, we've had I don't know if you know Bird's Eye View and Reclaim the Frame, but they're a group who work with us a lot, and they've just sent us a report a few weeks ago, and it's basically still at the same point in terms of how many films get released that are directed by women. So what we do at Genesis, which is not enough, but because mainly of marketing and how it reaches out to people, because the numbers are not what we would like them to be, but is we do a festival called Fragments Festival in September, which is basically aims at celebrating you know, inclusivity through film, not only women but also, you know, members of the LGBTIQ plus community, and you know, anyone, you know, ethnically diverse filmmakers and anyone who is underrepresented in on screen or in general kind of events, cross events in the world, in culture. So that's one thing that we can do, is programming those films that haven't gotten a chance to be released in the UK because no one gave them a chance, or so we, you know, work with people outside of the UK to bring those films to give them a platform and invite people to talk about those things. Where we struggle is money. Like, we don't have a marketing team, we don't have anyone, we work with Tower Hamlets, so that helps, you know, we do get funding for those things, but you know, there's only so much that we can do to reach out to people who might be interested in those things. Like, I'm sure not many people have heard of it here. It's a struggle, so it's I think that's one of the, you know, the things that we want to do, is give a platform to women to express themselves and to give them the voice that they deserve on screen, but then how far it reaches is where it's more difficult.
Fantastic. No, it wasn't a time up. No, but you brought in a really interesting point, which is, you know, platforming female artists, even though it's not maybe like the most mainstream thing to do. It still seems to be like the fringe, the women, the LGBT community, migrants, you know, the people of diverse backgrounds. That just kind of seems to be maybe like lumped together, but maybe that is also about building alliances and kind of linking up where you do have to kind of work together and maybe get some funding. But I do wonder also, like, I mean, do you feel underappreciated as a woman in particular in the arts, or you're getting quite a lot of satisfaction with what you're doing? Because I don't want it to be like super negative. You're obviously all here, obviously you're doing some fantastic stuff, but in terms of feeling, I know there's a report and it was focusing on the film in particular, but I mean, is there hope? Is anybody like feeling, yeah, actually, you know what? I do feel appreciated, because it is 2022, actually, it is happening. And also, welcome new face to the table. We'll come to you shortly.
I can say something positive.
Yay.
In our organisation...
There you go, take it away.
The women's group in our organisation is the most funded. You know, that's where we're getting the most funding for it. And that's, you know, amazing that that's happening. For context,
we work with people that are affected by addiction. So these women are really vulnerable, and we're getting the most funding for it. And they're making their own work, which they're doing a performance of in a couple of weeks' time. So they're coming from various different backgrounds. Some people have been homeless in the past and affected by addiction. So yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Okay, no, that's very, very positive. And also welcome new face to the table. Do you want to just give us your name on the mic? You know how this works, I think. I'm not sure.
Hi everyone, I'm Caroline from Talkaoke.
Welcome, Caroline. And we're just kind of getting going here. Yes, and also, oh gosh, sorry, I didn't see you. Grab the mic. And also, maybe we can make some room around the table so people don't feel like they're on the peripheries somewhere. I know there's like a limit to how many people can sit at this table, but I don't think we're there yet. So come closer if you wish, and grab a snack in the meantime as well. You know, you don't have to just sit snack free. You're welcome to go and grab something. Yes, welcome.
Hey everyone, my name is Clodagh and I'm not from a company. I just came because I'm trying to set up my own charity for foster children.
Okay, right. Okay, you're getting a round of applause. I'm just going to amplify that a little bit. Okay. Right, so so that already, straight off the bat, got people talking.
Okay, so this is linked with something you said before about, and it's just a very short, funny story, but a true story. So my sister, growing up, wanted to be an actress, and we come from a Nigerian family, God rest my parents' souls. And so my sister said she wants to be an actress, and my dad said, why don't you become a lawyer? She said, but I want to be an actress. Well, if you become a barrister, you're going to be wearing the robes, that's your costume. You're going to have the jury there, that's your audience. And so, 30 years today, my sister was called to the bar. So she became, but she's always, in her heart, always wanted to be an actress. But she's found some happiness in her job. But she said, well, it's not too late. I'm going to start doing my drama classes. But yeah, that's a true story.
Oh,
that's
wow.
That's what my dad said. That's the culture we come from. Being a lawyer, doctor, or engineer.
Right, okay. So, I mean, how much culture is actually got impact on the choices that you've made, the choices you feel you may make in the future? I mean, have you been formed by your culture in the sense that you chose the work that you are doing now? And you can come closer as well. I try not to spray when I talk, but obviously I can't guarantee that. But I'm COVID safe, I believe. But yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting story. And is there something about listening as well? Like, you know, your sister's definitely saying one thing and your dad is definitely saying another thing. But in the end, it kind of worked out. But you also said,
she still wants,
she still wants to pursue
still wants to pursue acting. She's a natural, it's never too late.
Right, amazing. Okay, so we can, people, the way this works, obviously we kind of went off, and Leslie, you're responsible for kicking us off on this beautiful and meandrous journey of conversations. And of course, maybe I could get some kind of viewpoints from yourself, because, just to see what you kind of make of this. But equally, do not be afraid to change the direction of the conversation, because you are in charge here. You had your hand up. Yes?
Did you want to say anything before?
Go ahead. And then I'm going to come to you, Maggie.
It's a change of subject, everyone. Strap in.
All right. Sorry, I didn't even know this was it.
So I'd just like to talk a little bit about women's health issues. This is actually, I'd like to share, again, a personal story. This is actually the first time I would have shared it with women who aren't in my close circle or close family, so please bear with me, because it's still quite a sensitive topic for me. But it also leads into something positive as well, so we're not going to be all doom and gloom. But essentially, I am very, very passionate, especially within the last year, about women's health issues and raising awareness for women's health issues in the arts. So about, I think actually last Halloween, essentially, I was on a combined contraceptive pill. And, you know, I'm 25 years old, and I was prescribed this combined contraceptive pill, and it actually led to me having something called a TIA, which is a stroke. Yeah. And again, I'm 25 years old, so, like, that was just completely a really, really scary experience for me. And it just really made me think, gosh, like, I just did not know enough about, like, contraception in that instance, and it really just made me think about loads of other women's health issues that I just feel like we don't know enough about or aren't even really shown in the arts. So yes, it led me to start writing basically, and I have, coming towards the positive, I have basically been working to write a collection of women's, like a poetry book basically, but it's not about love, it's not anything cliche that I feel like is always thrown at women, but it's a poetry book exploring women's health issues, so smear tests, breast cancer, contraception, masturbation, everything that I feel is still whispered and hushed between us, I have put into a book, and it's actually just been funded by Santander, random, and I'm kind of here to I'm kind of here to rally you all because I am hosting a big poetry night at the Royal Court Theatre. I'm going to be launching the book there. It's going to be an open mic, so I'm looking for other women to come and share their stories. It doesn't have to be necessarily about women's health, but I want to champion a space for female narratives, and just, that's my story, guys. So
yeah, get in. Thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Thank you. So I've already got a date confirmed at Poplar Union. Did someone say they were here from Poplar Union?
Yeah. No.
Oh, Poplar Union, which is on the 30th of March, and I'm meeting the Royal Court today to find a date. So if you want to chat to me more about it, get my email, anything, I'll keep you posted. Would love to have the girlies there, basically.
Amazing. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing this. Also your personal story, but also with a positive twist. And people just get writing, get your poetries out there, and just sign up to the night by the sound of it. But I think the question of women's health, is it still a taboo? What's going on with that? Maggie, I just want to pass you the mic, because obviously Talkaoke does go on different directions, and we love that. So thank you for changing direction there.
Whatever direction we go in, that was a very good example of how the arts can actually question, give out information and clarify and do it in a way that people can relate to. This is why the arts are so important.
Sorry, apologies, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Somebody's phone
When earlier on we're talking about young people, it's the same conversation, really, because we're saying here every borough in London has cut back in their schools on the teaching of arts. And we know that with young people, the more opportunities they have to express themselves, particularly creatively, the happier they are. If you don't think anybody's listening to you, if you have no avenue to express yourself. So this young woman, whose name I cannot remember and I'm very sorry, has a particular thing which she is identified with, and out of that she's created her art, and I think that's absolutely critical, and many women do this, but it isn't recognised because it is still very much a world run by men. And this problem, like with childcare, I mean, is that a men's problem? No. All us women here are pretty united in knowing that it's our problem. And okay, fine, but why we have to get out there and be creative and have time to work and have jobs and have our own money is because unless we do that, we will not be counted. And we need to be counted, and we need to be powerful. And it's absolutely critical that we actually do that. And as for drama, I just want to pick up on that question about why, do forgive me for carrying on, but why it is that the funding doesn't come and things like that. Is years ago, I mean, I'm like reliving history here. I'm an old early women's liberationist, and a lot of what you just said about health was coming up then. And things don't move fast enough. But with drama, I have to say that there used to be lots of wonderful experimental theatre groups. And one of them, called Cunning Stunts, was absolutely brilliant in discussing and performing shows about women's health, as you may imagine, and did many of those shows here in the East End. And I feel that what the problem is with the Arts Council, and don't forget it is an arm of government, has been cutting back on all of this because they wish to censor it, because in drama you learn to speak your voice and speak truth, uncomfortable truths to power. And this is why it is so important for young people to be able to do drama and everything. But whatever aspect of the arts, I hope that we will have a theme through Women's History Month about young people and the arts, and about people being able to express themselves on every issue that there is going. There needs to be freedom of speech on this.
Thank you, Maggie. And thank you. I'll be looking up the stunning, the cunning. Right, yeah, I know. I nearly walked into that one. Thank you, Maggie. Also, I would like to welcome a new face to the table. Come on, new face. Maybe you're familiar with this format. I don't know. You might not be. Just give us your name on the mic.
Hi everyone, my name's Cassandra. I am familiar with this format you're talking about. I'm familiar with this format because we do it every Monday at the Stratford Youth Zone. I'm a participation worker in Newham.
Fantastic. And we've got somebody from a different borough, which is always a round of applause here. Yes. So the voice. Drama is connected to voice and finding your voice. Is this true? Is this what government is afraid of? Do we need to get just better, more edgy names for what we do, like the theatre company you mentioned there? Yes.
Sorry, not answering that question, but just wanted to pick up on the topic of contraception and just like a personal story as well, but also a question for the group. From a young age, I had irregular periods and was put on birth control from the age of 15. That's in Canada. And then since then, I'm still, 20 years later, I'm 38 years old, still on contraception, but really looking forward to just like, being contraception free. I don't know what really like that means in reality. I just know that it needs to like end basically. And I'm just curious like what the experience has been in the UK with women like when they were young, and just like if that was just the only solution provided by medical systems here. I feel like my mother didn't even question that. I didn't question it at the time. I wish I had been more like knowledgeable about like what other options were, I guess. But at the same time, it worked, but also it just doesn't seem like there should just be like way more options. So I was just curious about kind of the experience in the UK as well.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. And also I think there's an important kind of point there about to what extent do you rely on the advice you're given by medical professionals, and maybe if it's not talked about in your family, if it's just accepted as a thing, well, the doctor says so, do we need to do way more kind of researching into our own health? What does that look like? And what about the medical profession? What do they actually know about women's health and those individual cases? Does anybody have any kind of experiences that they would like to share, or any kind of views on, or how is it all done in the UK? As is a direct question. Yes, Patricia, grab a mic.
Hi, again, myself, I went on contraception pill quite at a young age. I think I was about, 16 or something. But then later on, in my early 20s, I decided to come off all of that. I went down the route to have a Mirena, a coil. So I had that initially, and I didn't have children. But it worked for me until it fell out in the bath. And then... And then since then, I haven't used contraception other than condoms at all. But now, role reversal, I've gone into menopause. So now I am going to go on to HRT. I mean, I went down the whole holistic route, do you know what I mean? I don't know if anybody else has, like the maca powder and the chia seeds and the apple cider vinegar and the exercising and the weightlifting and all of that, do you know what I mean? All of the above and some. And then I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden, like a couple of months ago, it's all just spiked again. I just thought, I can't take this. So, I don't know. It's sort of in relation to your question too, but also I'm throwing it out there. What's everybody else's opinion on HRT? Because for me, personally, I'm only going down that route because I did go down the holistic route, which I prefer to do. But there's only so much those areas can work, I feel, and I was doing everything, all the tick boxes, do you know what I mean? And then it spiked, and so in order for my own sanity, I've decided to try HRT, which I still haven't gone on yet, but I'm just about to get my first prescription in the next couple of weeks, well, the next week really.
No, again, thank you so much for sharing this. And I think bringing in menopause into conversation, I don't know, is it like, do people know about how it all works, like what is going to happen? Because I think so far, I think we've been chatting here for an hour or so. I mean, I don't know, I haven't checked time, but we kind of went through different kind of stages and aspects of being a woman through health somehow, because we talked about children, we talk about, started off with childcare, but that kind of side of being a woman. We talked about, contraception and kind of roots in, roots out, and what's next. And now we're kind of talking about menopause. And are these things connected? Can they be more connected? Is there value in introducing the kind of different approaches earlier on? I hope you're not going forever there. Just no, that's fine. That's completely fine. As I said before, yes.
I'm going through menopause, but the thing is, I was a bit surprised at my lack of understanding about it, because I always found it was something that was whispered. Oh, menopause. It was, do you know what I mean? So I thought, what I thought, sorry if I sound really stupid, but I thought, okay, you have your final period and that's it. That's menopause. I didn't realise it goes on for, it's something that can go on for years and years and years. I just thought, okay, you get your last period. Mine was like last year, and I thought, that's it. Okay, that's the end of it. I didn't know about all the mood swings. My son saying to me, Marge, he calls me Marge, my son. What's wrong with you? You're so irritable. I didn't realise all of that. So I've obviously spoken to a lot of people that are going through it now. And so my understanding of menopause is a lot more. But I did find it's always something people just whispered, like menopause. And it was never really spoken about. So I'm just talking to people who are going through it, and I'm finding out more and more as I go along, and learning for myself as well. But yeah.
No, for sure. And I think, again, thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing this, because I think there are some taboos. Here we are, we can talk about anything, but do people know about stuff? I'll come to you, Cassandra, very shortly, but we've got a new face at the table. Welcome. Just give us your name and anything you want to contribute, or just listen for now.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Vanessa Canizzo-Nello. I am art curator of Canizzo Gallery, which is self-funded, and I've been running it for the last 3 years. The conversation is really intriguing, though I've come late, and it sounds like we're talking about the phases of girlhood to womanhood, and that sounds fascinating. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining us. It was there were different stages, but in the meantime, we're talking about provision for young people, drama. We had a little insight into. Yes, I would like some water. Thank you very much, Mikey. No, sorry, just kind of communicating there. Provision, and also we had a kind of glimpse into how things were for women maybe some years ago. Seems like there are some changes, but actually not that many. They're not coming fast enough, says Maggie. Also, what kind of role is the local government, playing in this? Thank you. Should there be more understanding about what people are working on a kind of grassroots level? Be it sessions for young people in drama, be it supporting female-directed films, for instance. Do local governments actually know about what is going on and how to connect, also how to connect these personal conversations? Does it need to be a separate forum? Can we just be a bit more kind of casual and direct, talking about all these different things that people have so beautifully shared tonight? It's not tonight, it's still daytime, today. So these are just like some of the elements of what we talked about. Cassandra, you had your hand up. Did you want to throw something in? And come closer, actually, because this mic is long, but, Yeah, come closer. I'll give you a round of applause.
Just a point that you made. So what's your name again? Jess. Just a point you made, Jess. I think that young people, in my opinion, are thrown onto the pill very, very early, very quickly. I don't know if it's preventative or I don't know what it is, but I think for me, I'm a bit of a, I don't like taking tablets person, but I do find that a lot of, as I've grown up, I found that a lot of my friends were put on the pill very early, and no questions. And I'm a person who reads the back of the box all the time, so I will probably I end up taking no tablets for anything most of the time, because I see all the side effects, and you're never spoken to about side effects. And then I've seen friends of mine that it's affected their lives through the side side effects because they've not really paid attention to side effects. And so I think that's something for your point. Talking about the menopause, I don't think I'm going through it yet. And maybe I'm starting to. I'm not sure. But I think that's something, like you said, it's not talked about, and I think it's very important that it does get spoken about, even with families. A lot of your mums don't really talk to you about it, and you ask the question, they might get embarrassed. I mean, I asked my mum. I've been asking my mum for I don't know how many years, maybe the last 10 years or so. What's it like? Oh, I just get hot. Oh, I get this thing in here, and then I just start sweating. That's all she tells me about mainly is the sweating of it, the having the hot flushes, and it's so then, like you, your period stops and that's it. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, so that's period stops, and you get hot flushes. Then I hear from somebody else, the mood swings. I mean, a friend of mine, she's a poet, and she's putting together a group for women to discuss menopause and to do poetry around menopause and things like that. Sorry, I don't have the details, otherwise I'll be like, oh yes, go to it. Yeah, so there's that, and then there was something else that I wanted to say about young people. It doesn't matter, I've forgotten.
No, but you've given us quite a lot, and apologies for the sound, but I do believe there's some mobile phones. We're living in the kind of world of technology, so if you've got your phone, if you could switch off, that'll be amazing. If it's okay for you to do so. But yeah, I mean, what about this whole thing of like not questioning, what's kind of handed down to us, and also, and yet again comes this kind of link with family. My mum doesn't maybe have the knowledge, maybe she can't pass it on, maybe it's just a taboo still, maybe she just doesn't know. And where do we get the information from? And do we read the back of the do we read the I wanted to say the instruction manual, but it's not necessarily that, the leaflet in what is it that we put in our bodies. I mean, Cassandra does, so that's pretty good. But also, young people, I mean, do we just... Are we empowering young people enough to question some of these kind of authoritative, choices or options put in front of us? So this is kind of where we are at. Anyone wants to throw anything in? I tried to do a summary, but I think I've just done like a really kind of, yes.
So just linking back to the lack of provision and the backlash and the Tory backlash and the far right surge, I mean, you can only say that it's strategic. So if there's no youth provision and there's no culture, there's no creativity, and if those things are researched, evidence to show that they give people confidence to speak out to power, then it can only be a strategic move to silence people. So a lot of the stuff that we've talked about today is all stuff that might come into a creativity workshop or a moment in a club where there's some informal time when you can talk. So I just really think that anything that we can do to increase participation and engagement is going to help.
And how would you see that happen? I mean, like, is there a particular way, or is it a myriad of ways, and just finding people to just, make it happen?
I think we're all here for that, to be honest. I mean, I think most people who are here are interested in engagement and participation through whatever means, whether it's music or art or drama or walking or, dancing, any kind of way that gets people to meet up. And somebody's already noted the pandemic. I mean, it's just, there's a Tory backlash, there's been a pandemic, there's an awful lot of evidence to say that people have become more isolated. And I think I'd chime with Maggie, because I'm an 80s feminist, about censorship. I mean, I see it as strategic. The personal is political. So I see it as a strategic silencing of our very powerful voices.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, sounds like we can't get away from politics, and perhaps some of it is strategic, even though it may feel like a personal choice. And I do wonder, from people who maybe haven't said so much, is there anything, any kind of direction, any new topic that you'd like to kind of throw in? Anything maybe from the perspective of the visual art? And yeah, grab a mic.
I think something I really enjoy doing is taking from people's lived experiences. So that's a bit of research community insight, and transforming that into different mediums, and that is everything from like film, photography, documentaries, and I think these are probably ways which connect really well. So if there was a collection of different mediums with the sole purpose of educating and empowering, but also coming from a relatable experience, like you said, and I remember like when I'd go to GP when I was younger, they were very like pushy on giving you some form of contraceptive. Yesterday, my aunt was talking to me about something called Depo-Provera. It's an injection banned in America. Someone in Kenya, I follow the kind of news of women in Kenya and Nairobi, and someone is saying that she's now infertile because of that, but there's already evidence that it makes people barren. So it's just about, again, using a starting point of lived experiences of across ages to kind of spark the conversation and give the insight, but also doing it in mediums that are interesting to people, which all of us are in.
I think it's a really excellent point, and I think that kind of personal experience can be just that step to, like you say, spark up the conversation. But also what's kind of coming up here is the question of trust, and of, you know, do we trust the governments? Do we trust, you know, wider forums to represent us and our needs as women? And Laura, I can see you've got your hand up. Is it a point and the visualization, or just the point, or just the visualization? Please, could you pass the mic?
It's just the point yet, well, for the moment. But what I wanted to say about like education about periods, menopause, or all like female-related subject in terms of related to puberty as well. How at school, I don't know how it's here, but in Poland, where I'm from, you would divide boys and girls, and then girls would have a lesson about what to expect when the period comes. The boys would have something, but I don't really know what. But my point is,
to the class,
I saw on Instagram a transgender woman. She came out as a girl around I think less than a year ago, and she's doing. Every day she's posting like the 5th day of being a girl, the 10th or 100th day of being a girl, and she's talking about different subjects. And one of the short videos she made was about periods, how when she used to be a man, they at school no one really taught them what is this about, and now as a she needs someone to explain it to her, and she's 25, and probably she won't be able to experience the period as we do, but still, it's such an important knowledge, and both for girls and for boys, because this is what a lot of misunderstanding comes from as well. You know, men, if you're in a bad mood, the men would be just like, oh, are you in your period again? And that's it. This is what they understand. They don't know they don't understand the difference between period and ovulation, for example. It's crazy. Like how is this still 21st century and men don't have the basic knowledge about, you know, a lot of their female partners.
So spread the knowledge early on and across groups. Yes, sorry, what's that? There's a hand over there. There was a hand over there. And also, I was just curious about what does William Shakespeare got to do with contraceptives. But maybe we just need to use our good old imaginations. Is he a bit old school? Is he a bit unsightly? Yeah, men are blind to contraception. Well, I'll let you two figure it out and let me know what this means. Grab the mic. And then I
was going to say something different, but actually I've got another thought in my head.
That's okay.
It's really interesting. I watched a TED talk by Sandy Totsvig, and she did anthropology at university, and her lecturer stood up and was like, showed a picture of a bone that was marked like 28 days and was like, this is like the first example of a calendar. And apparently it was attributed to a man. And she was like, well, I wonder who might need to be marking 28 days on a, so it's even like, that is really interesting in terms of women's contribution, or like how we make sense of the world and how that's then represented in history. So that just thought popped in my head. One other thing I wanted to say about, I think it speaks to your point about sort of strategically trying to silence voices, and Arts Council funding getting more restricted. And I'm really interested around kind of alternative funding models. So I don't know if anyone's heard of Patreon. Yeah, I support a few artists on Patreon. So the idea is that you can directly support artists who are making work who you really like, and you might get a special benefit, or it might just be, I really like this podcast and I want them to continue doing it. And I think that's quite an interesting way to circumnavigate some of these structures and, help people have a steady income so they have the space and the time to dedicate to their practice. So it's an idea.
No, thank you very much. And also thank you for this little anthropological interlude. Who knew? But I mean, in 2022, are we, seems to me like maybe we're getting a little bit more ahead in kind of unpicking all these kind of things which were assumed maybe are allocated or attributed to men. And maybe we are changing slightly, but maybe not fast enough. As Laura says, this kind of understanding what boys do, what they got going on there, and girls, so that's where we are at. I did have a thought in my head, but it's completely gone, but this is Talkaoke, that's just kind of what happens. Also the idea of Patreon, I mean, how many organisations, how many people here would kind of see themselves as like, actually, never mind the mainstream funding, because I feel silenced by this, I'm going to go and speak to the people directly, and I'm going to get their support, I'm going to ask for their support. Would you consider that for your organisation, for the thing that you do, or is it just too much work? Because then, you have to get on social media and, whatever like that. I'm just interested in these alternative models of funding. And I can hand the mic over to anyone if anyone's got anything to contribute. Any micro thought counts. Yes.
It's a very micro thought, and I don't know enough about it. But in terms of women in philanthropy, in Tower Hamlets, it's a really rich kind of borough in terms of people in history and women, I think, who have done great things and have invested, and we're still reaping the benefits of their investment years. So I know that there was a wife of a Conservative politician back in the day of the Dockers strike, so we must be going back, 150 years, and she paid for all the children to have food while their fathers were on strike. Then there was one of the suffragettes, I think it was Sylvia, who set up a factory for women to make toys after the First World War because we didn't want to have stiff teddy bears from Germany after the war, and so she set up this toy factory with women workers in it and supplied a British teddy bear to the new Selfridges that was opening on Oxford Street. I love it. I love the history of Tower Hamlets and the people who were there, and the women particularly. And I wonder if that's where we should be looking these days, for women to be philanthropists into the arts and to society.
Okay, I don't know if Patreon can be made into a female word, but I think but I do. I wish I had a bear sound effect, but I don't. But what I did want to say is maybe that's kind of also linking a little bit to the future of the of Women's History Month and what may happen next year. Obviously, history of this era is a rich one, but any of these subjects, can they be represented somehow next year? Maggie, grab the mic.
I just want to pick up on what you're talking about. You're talking about the East London Federation of Suffragettes, aren't you? Yes? As founded by Sylvia Pankhurst and all the local women who actually, and that is why we are here today, having the vote and being able to have a lot more freedoms. However, our great tradition is that what they did was campaign tirelessly and gave huge sacrifices for their cause. And we must be prepared to do this too, because if we don't, there won't be the change. It won't happen. We will be stuck and never ever move forward. But we know that in the history of women, everything takes a very long time.
And why is it?
And it is because we are not dominant. It is because the world is not an equal place. It is that simple. And that's why that example, and we are here in the East End where those wonderful women fought like stink. And when we had the celebration of 100 years of women's vote, we said, well, sorry, but no, that didn't happen. Only afterwards, not until 1928, did every woman in the country get the vote. And I think that's really important for everybody to realise. So you're on territory here whereby you have a great tradition to uphold and move forward with. And may I just say one more thing? You asked a question earlier about where do you get information from? And I think that's so critical because information is power. And I would suggest that everybody always starts by going on a borough website and finding the arts team, because they'll be the friendliest, and the culture team, and ask them anything. They'll help you. They will, honestly. They'll be good-hearted and they'll be useful. You also used to be able to get information from libraries, but I don't know whether you still can, because they've been cut back so badly. But it's always a good idea to look and find all those sort of things on there. And like you say, there's all the community groups as well and things like this, but it's a good start.
It is a good start, and also I just want to kind of pick up on this thing, on the point that you've made about really rich and going quite way back history of women in East End. I mean, is that something that people know about? I mean, is that something they kind of take courage from? Do you even know about this, and how do you find out? Is it like through forums like this or research? Is it going to a friendly website to find out about where you can get the information about the kind of lineage that you're kind of coming from by being part of the East End crew? I feel like we're the East End crew. Yes?
I suppose one place to find out, shout out for Tower Hamlets, the archives. They've got an online archive. Yeah, in the History Library, they have exhibitions there, which are fantastic, but also they've got an online archive, so you can literally go on a website, put in a name or something, and it will throw up what they've got in their collections, and it's fascinating to see what's in there. It's one of my favourite websites now.
Okay, yeah. Grab it, yeah.
And Bishopsgate.
What about it?
Oh, it's also got a massive archive. Which is huge, and they've got a huge collection of LGBTQ stuff as well, which they're massively collecting. So that's really interesting. I have to go actually because I've got to go to work, but I want to say thank you. This has been fascinating, and I think being able to talk about all the different things that everybody's talked about, politics to periods to children, is brilliant, and that's how we should be working together. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you so much for joining. And I mean, if you do have to go, you do have to give us a final thought. I just want to check, was that your final thought, or is there something that you just want to throw in there and let us mull over whilst you've gone to work? And fantastic, thank you so much. And grab a snack and an apple, because it's healthy, on the way out. Okay, also we had some little visualization from Laura. Obviously it's my face right now, we don't need to see it. But yeah, Laura, I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here. I mean, I think. The little chap made a big discovery there, whatever it is. But yeah, so obviously it's kind of linking back to education. But thank you for bringing in the idea of archives and access to archives and spreading the knowledge. I'm going to come to you and then to yourself.
Yeah, it's just a bolt on for that actually, and also. They are collecting. So Holly, your poetry book would be a fantastic thing to have in the archive, because they will be actively gathering stuff that's like representing views, societies, cultures in Tower Hamlets, and that's part of the challenge, is actually how we represented in some of these officials. So yeah, I think you should submit it to them.
Fantastic. Maybe we could submit the recording, because it is recorded, session of Talkaoke, and see what women make of it in, 25 years' time, 100 years' time, we don't know. Right, you had your hand up. Micro point or normal size point is
it's
fine.
It's sort of adding onto it. What I wanted to say was that obviously I've had a very negative view on the youth service where it is, but one thing we used to do, have a female worker. And that was really good, because coordinating things, and we used to have International Women's Day events as well, which doesn't exist. So I'm just thinking that in the absence or something like that, could something like that emerge from this coming year, so that we can get a bit more coordination. So this isn't only once a year that we do that. This is an on-running program that, you know, people can join in. So there might be girls' projects or women's projects around the borough, so we can have that networked around, because otherwise we're just waiting for that souveniristic sort of International Women's Month, and then it's all bombarded, whereas I think we should be doing this all the time.
But do you think, how should we fund it though? Should we get a female patron to kind of sponsor this whole thing? Should we get the council? Who should we be talking to?
They used to have in the youth service a female worker whose job was to deal with female issues. I don't know, it could be that the new mayor might be enthusiastic, but it's not just young people's voices, but we need to have women's voices, and that is in the work. So it goes back to childcare, it becomes the whole thing about health and well-being. All those things are so important, particularly coming out of COVID, because I feel that there's so much that has been missed out during COVID that female staff aren't able to address anyway. That goes to the point where now there's aspects of bullying going on in work environments. People like senior managers don't care, they don't listen. So how do we get our point of view over? Who's listening to us?
Okay, so how to represent a female voice in the workforce actually as well. And I do like this idea, and I think you kind of really beautifully, you are linking us back a little bit to, again to the Women's History Month, and I'll come back to that shortly, yes?
I think I'll just put this plug in now, which is about Centenary Action Group, which is convened by Helen Pankhurst, whose great-grandmother was Emmeline Pankhurst. And it's a coalition of women's organisations, and you can find it on Twitter. But if you're in a women's organisation of any kind at all, they're reaching out for more members, and they already have an enormous number of members. And their objective was from 2018 to 2028 to put more women in Parliament. So, I mean, there's loads of different ways of getting representation, but that is one way, and it's a very active group. And the other thing was I just wanted to make a plug for archives, because I totally agree with that. And Hackney has a really, really good archive and a history of dissent around Newington Green in particular, and the feminist Mary Wollstonecraft. 18th century feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, but that Hackney archive is very open and accessible, and there's reading rooms there and places to work and all sorts of good stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, what was the first one?
It's called Centenary Action Group, and you can find them on Twitter, and the convener is Helen Pankhurst.
And what I would say to everybody participating today, if you are working on some projects and if you would like to share them with the forum, please send those to me and Maggie, and we'll try to coordinate and send it out to everybody who has come, because it is essentially for us also about letting people know and connecting it up, because I already forgot what the Twitter was, or you know what the contact was, but I'm sure you'll remind me on email. Fantastic. No, but yes, so I mean, I don't know how we're doing for time, but I do kind of wonder whether there's something that we can have a kind of conversation about in a way of what may happen next year. Could the cinema be talking to the gallery? Could we be talking, is menopause going to be like the next kind of theme of 2023? Who knows? Or is it going to be, what's it going to be? How would you like to see the Women's History Month celebrated? So it's not just, oh, give me a break, it's just once a year. Why is it not happening more regularly? But since there is that month, like what should we be doing? What would you like to see happening more? Anything from today that kind of stuck out for you? I don't know if we should be kind of going round the table and get everybody just to say, just chip in something, even if you stayed kind of quiet and listening, perhaps there is something they just want to, just put in there, because we'll send it to the archives, we'll send it to Hackney, because they're very good, I hear, and to Tower Hamlets, and to Bishopsgate. She's gone. Right, so who wants to just kick us off with some ideas for next year's Women's History Month? Yes.
It's not an idea, I think. I can't remember. No, at the back, when she was talking about how little men know about women's health and menopause and periods and things like that. I don't think it's just about boys and men knowing about what goes on with our bodies, but I think it's something about us knowing about what goes on with each other's bodies. So I think that's quite important, and also encouraging each other to have conversations with each other as well, with women, with men, with boys, just talking to each other about what's going on for your body, then you can understand each other more.
And is there a particular way in which you'd like to see that happening next year? I mean, is that something that could sit as part of the Women's History Month, or is it just ongoing?
I think it's an ongoing thing. I do think it could sit as part of the History Month, because you can see, you know, usually it's not talked about, but we need to be talking about it. So introducing it and then carrying it through, I think it should be talked about differently in schools, rather than, oh, your period, you'll get blood and then it will last for 7 days and you use a pad. Do you know, that's basically all you get told. So just having it being explained properly, fully, maybe having, instead of single sex sessions, having a session where you come together and you talk about it as a mixed group as well, because I think that's important. Otherwise you just don't understand each other.
No, this is
and I'm
it.
sure, I don't know, I'm saying I'm sure, I don't know, I think, you know, men probably go through different things as well. I mean, I've often joked with some of my mates and said, oh, you got your menopause and stuff, so do you know what I mean? So we don't know what the men are going through as well, but if we talk about it, we'll start to understand it more, and I think that people will, you know, everyone will just get on a bit better as well.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. It's one of these, I like the menopause as well, but fair enough. Yes, next point.
Sorry, we're going to have to move on to another meeting, but just to throw into
I'm sorry
the room
to hear
before we go.
it.
Sharon, do you want to say? That was the story for me today, and if we're talking about the History Month next time, I think it would be lawyer, doctor, engineer, disgrace to the family. That's the thing.
Okay, reclaim the disgrace of family. Fantastic. That's what I want to be when I grow up. Thank you so much. She drops the mic. Have a good meeting. I hope it's as entertaining. Yeah, okay, well, brace yourself. Just throw in some jokes and just hope for the best counsel, right? Okay. What else? Laura, you've got a point. I'm going to come to yourself and then to you, Laura.
No, I think women's health is really important. I think in general, just broadening it to, you know, giving back control to women over their own body, and especially as, you know, with what's happened in the US and is ongoing. And for us, I think it means putting on programs that kind of behind and in front of the camera is just raising issues that we sometimes want to avoid because it's scary or because we don't care, because you know, I say we, but obviously they are, you know, for me it's something that's very important for some men, and like the first kind of like the basics are enough, and they're not going to, you know, necessarily go further than that, and sometimes through a different medium that there's like an entry point to then more discussion. So like using film as a way to start a discussion, which then can include more than, you know, people who work in the arts. And I think that's going to be something we want to do next year, and we've been talking about not only in March but also just as part of our festival, as part of our general programming. So yeah, I'm kind of also using this as I'd love to hear about, you know, anyone who's interested in working with us, always open. I can leave my email, and just we have 5 screens, but we also have a bar where we can do lots of community events, which don't have to be around film at all. So yeah, please let me know, because that'd be really lovely to hear from you if you're interested in collaborating as well with other art centres. You know, some people we've already worked together, so yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And also knowing that there's a space there which can be just accessed, even if you're not a filmmaker. But I do agree, you know, it's a really good point, and I think you touched on this as well. You know, we can get the message across in so many different creative ways. It could be film, could be through visual arts, could be personal stories. But it's just how we are using our creativity to tell them. But thank you so much for this.
So at the end of the day, we're a place where community can form, not only just somewhere where we put on things for entertainment. So yeah, that's what we'd try and put forward with cinema. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Laura, did you want to throw something in? Yes. Okay. You know the drill. You just pass this windy. Oh God.
Yes. what I wanted to say, yes, to add to the Women History Month and what I was saying earlier about just education on female body. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the difference in science, researching male bodies and female bodies is so dramatic. Like, I think we only start really discovering women insights in like 50s or 60s. So it's so really late. It's it's I can't even wrap my head around it, how much delay we have with understanding female bodies comparing to male bodies. So I would like to see during the Women History Month maybe Women Science History Month or something like that, something with like more impact on the science around just females in general, women, and I say females because I was reading this very interesting book about just animal kingdom and female in animal kingdom and how much far off we are with our, very civilized way of putting women in place, saying that they are under men, they are weaker, they don't get angry or anything like this. But really, if we get deep into the female animal kingdom, it's completely opposite. So, we live in a reverse reality comparing to the nature. So that's that.
Fab. Thank you very much, Laura. And if you've got some visualizations, do pop them on. So yes, maybe something about science, maybe just I don't know, something about women's health. And sorry, Maggie, I'm going this way for the time.
Okay, just going to respond to something that you said. One thing I like to do within the work that I do is I grew up in Kenya, moved to East London when I was about 12. So I've always been really interested in different kind of global perspectives. Mm-hmm. So I think that whenever I do an exhibition or any kind of focus, I'd like to have a theme, but then find out from different countries, be it Brazil, be it Somalia, find out what the experiences are there, told through the artist, normally through film, animation, photography, etc. So I'd be really keen to kind of explore that more. Another thing that has been running in my mind, and I think maybe has kind of been covered, I think sometimes, and as far as involving girls and women, sometimes there's different kinds of people. So I'd say that I'm someone who leans more on something called soft power. So maybe also encouraging those that wouldn't normally feel they have that voice or can speak up on things that actually their softness, their quietness is a power in itself, and they have a voice in spaces like this, but also in contributing towards some of the work that we're doing. So yeah.
That's fantastic. No, thank you very much. And I think having those kind of, worldwide perspectives is just something that we can, learn from a lot. And big up soft power. There is more than one ways of communicating and shouting for your case. Who else has got something to throw in about Women's History Month? Any ideas?
I'm going to say this is the first event that I've been here like this. I've never been to one. It's really, really nice. It's really important. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. And as a parent with 2 young children, I'm going to make sure we get more creative at home. And just to be more open-minded when we're talking at the correct age about menopause, about period, because I've got a boy and a girl. And just to have open, honest discussions so they're not really suffering later on in life.
That's fantastic. And also, is that something, is there an age limit when you would bring your children into these conversations?
Yes. My daughter's 12 and my son is 10. So I have to be quite mindful about the environment that they're in. So obviously liaise with school when they're bringing all that in. I know they've hit it at year 5 and 6, so my son's gone through all the sex education, all the puberty and all that stuff. But I haven't spoken to him about it at home. So that's something that I need to look into, what it looks like. So he has the knowledge. So when he does have a girlfriend or whenever what he decides to do, that he can be a bit more compassionate, understanding and have a healthy relationship.
No, I think that's absolutely fantastic. And maybe Women's History Month takes over sex education at schools. Maybe we just take over schools, just start there, and take it from there. Yes, there were some points here, yes? Any ideas?
I also wanted to say this has really been a really interesting and great forum. I've really enjoyed being here today, and I was just going to mention about ideas for for Women's History Month. I recently hosted an event for Black History Month, but it was a celebration, and in that celebration, because of what someone mentioned also, what we've been through in the last 2 years, it's had a really sort of big impact on people's mental health. So at that event, the focus was really women's workshops. The workshops were free, and anyone could participate. And we've just found that there's a guy there that was making a bag for his daughter. The feedback, because there was a feedback book, the feedback was actually, it brought tears to my eyes, some of the feedback that was there. Sadly, the shoestring budget that we were given didn't include food. Tower Hamlets actually said you can't use that part of the budget for food. So we dug in, me and another friend dug into our pockets and fed people and gave them enough food to go home with as well. And then one person took me aside in tears and said, "Thank you so much." I'm actually feeling a bit emotional talking about it. They hadn't eaten that week. And she said, from the minute she told me that she hadn't eaten that week, I went back into the kitchen and packed more for her. So you just really do not know what people are going through. And sorry, I can't even talk anymore.
No, but I think, thank you so much for throwing that in, because like precisely how you say, we don't know what people go through, and it is about kind of creating those spaces and initiatives where people can just step in and be themselves, and just be supported in whatever way is fit for them, like young people coming to your summer clubs, the drama clubs. So yeah, thank you so much for this. Yes, no, not at all. I'm giving you a round of applause as well for throwing in a good idea there.
We're just working on an intergeneration project, and I always think that it's really good with the topics we've covered today, how we can have sessions which are intergenerational, so that young girls learn about older women and older women learn about what young people are going through right now, because I think there is a lack of opportunities to meet. And COVID's kind of COVID has actually made people feel quite isolated. And, this whole thing about coming out, talking, I mean, this is the first time I've been out and done anything like this since COVID anyway. So, if I can do it, then we can encourage others to do the same. And this debate, discussion and things, we need to encourage that with all young people and elders to meet. And I really, really would like to encourage that theme to kind of follow through.
Fantastic. So keep it intergenerational. Don't hide away in your little enclave. Yes, thank you so much for contributing. I think intergenerational is an important aspect. Please take it away.
Yeah, just based on the couple of points that just happened there, I've just been in mental health first aid training over the past few weeks, and those tools should be for everyone. It's not just about helping others, it's about understanding yourself. And especially after the pandemic, I think it's giving people the tools to actually have those conversations and know what to say to people, and have that empathy for yourself as well as for others. I think that could empower so many great things if people just knew those tools. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Mental health training, maybe we just need to spread it out, and we do have last 10 minutes, so please throw in your bits now.
Mine's just really basic, but we haven't mentioned East End Women's Museum Library, which is something that people probably... Yeah, great, it looks like you know about it. Great. And then on the back of that, just that there's two venues at Newington Green in Hackney, and one is Mildmay Social Club, and it's got a new manager at that venue who has the most amazing spaces, and she's really wants a wide range of activities, and she really wants something for March 2023, and I think the deal is that they take the bar, but the venue is available, and it's a great venue if you haven't seen it. And the one next door, Newington Green Meeting House, is also a hybrid venue with amazing resources, and they are also reaching out for interesting activities for that month.
Okay, so a couple of plugs there. So if you need a space for your activities, there's more than plenty to choose from. So do reach out, and I do hope this is going to come in an email because my memory is not that good. Okay, final thoughts. Anyone? Final thoughts? This is like, I don't know what this sound effect was. Maggie? Oh, yeah. Was someone behind? Oh, grab a Holly.
Hello, I just wanted to again echo everyone else's lovely sentiments about today. It's really been very refreshing to be in person in a room full of, such diverse and extraordinary women. And yeah, I just wanted to say that, I'm having to make my brain fart. I just wanted to say that so when you were talking about, just jumping back to when you were talking about menopause and about your son? Yeah. Your son? It just, because the book that I'm writing, it's called If Tits Could Talk. And I've actually written a poem. It's called Something's Wrong with Mum, and it's about, from a child's perspective, noticing that it's basically about menopause, but it's from like a child's perspective. So yes, I'm also looking for collaborations for my poetry night which is going to be in March. It's going to be at the Royal Court. I'm looking for visuals, and I want to have if anyone knows any female musicians who would like to get involved, please swing my way. And yes, thank you very much for today.
Please make sure that you let us know on email, yes, all these things, and any call-outs that you want to put out there, please. If you're looking for collaborators, please do it. Caroline, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I work at Poplar Harker and we have a creative youth service called Spotlight. Oh, great, you're linked in already. That was my point.
Is this your final thought? Give us your final thought now that you've got a mic.
Oh my gosh. I suppose the kind of main thought I had is, obviously it's thinking about what the theme is of Women's History Month, but also how we do it. And I think it really speaks to your point about how to make spaces inclusive. So do sessions have childcare? Is food being put on? Are there sort of ways you can have other services? So if someone does present, say, with some mental health challenges, it's sort of subtly directing people and making sure that wraparound support is there, because yes, we want to make sure everyone feels welcome, and it's recognising that some people might have challenges accessing art, so it might not seem like the most important thing to them, but can actually be really transformative and, really help someone in a really difficult position. So that's my final thought.
Fab, thank you very much, Caroline. Any more? This is like the last moment. Yes, Clodagh, grab a mic.
Sorry, I haven't really said that much today.
That's okay.
But it was just a quick plug about the charity that I'm trying to set up for foster children, because I grew up in care. And one of the things that I found helped me more than anything was drama and the arts and nature. So if anyone was interested in catching up or talking about what I'm doing, I'd be really keen to chat.
And can you give us a little flavour of where you're at with the? Are you looking for? Yeah.
So my long-term goal is to open up a boarding school for foster children, because there's nothing else like that, and education is the best route out of poverty. But in the interim, I'm either completely fucking mental or a genius trying to set something up so outrageous. But in the interim, I'm trying to set up a podcast, and I have guests from Penny Jarrett, and I have my mind's gone completely blank. Alan Jenkins, who's a observer writer, Sophie Willan, who is a BAFTA award winner. She's about to confirm, and a few others. And then I'm also trying to set up a documentary. So there's a guy called Edward Humphrey, who is the ex-director for the British Film Institute. And he's really keen to work with me in setting up a documentary to talk about the foster care to prison pipeline. So things like the foster children make up 1% of the UK population, but over 30% of the prison population and over a quarter of the homeless population. So essentially, if you're in care, you end up in prison or homeless, and I just want to explore that and what's actually been done to cut that pipeline off, and then also I want to reach out to boarding schools, because obviously if you look at places like Eton and Eton and whoever, they were set up for poor children, and obviously they aren't that's the complete opposite to what they're doing now. So I want to reach out to them, or I'm going to start reaching out to them to use their facilities in the summer half terms and stuff like that to build the case for a boarding school for home foster children.
Okay, so there's quite a lot that you've got going. So if you want to chat more to Claudia about that, please make sure, because we will close at 2 o'clock, but you, by all means, all these snacks need to be consumed by you, so gonna have to chat and snack away. Yes, grab the mic.
Does anybody else want to speak before?
It was just a quick plug that I did after them.
Quick plug, go on.
Yeah, go on, if it's a quick one, yeah.
Just to let everyone know, Derbyshire Street, Oxford House, if anyone's familiar with that, there's a creativity minded, a group I'm part of. We've got, it's like a little pop-up market, but we also do workshops as well. And then also, first Sunday of the month at Space Studios. It's a community-based market where there'll be a lot of workshops, and it's mainly sort of led by women, us, a group of us, and we're going to be doing workshops for the community there, and we're normally open from 11 till 4 on the first Sunday of each month. So the next one's going to be the 4th of December, sorry.
Yeah, no,
menopausal brain fog.
No, trust me, I can't believe it's December as well. But this is fantastic. So this is happening in the space. We also have got like a little visualization there, just like a little interlude there. I recognise a Polish scientist there, Polish-French scientist, Marie Curie, and obviously other important people and anonymous people, Angela Davis, and we've got a lioness, anonymous lioness. And yes, thank you. Women History Month, March 2023. What's it going to be? Maggie, do you have any ideas what you would like to see there? Alternative arts?
I just want to say a few words as the coordinator of Women's History Month. First of all, I want to thank everybody for giving up their time and making such interesting contributions. They really are fascinating and seriously diverse, and there is no one theme for Women's History Month because there are so many issues that everybody wishes to raise. What is important is that we do actually celebrate Women's History Month because it provides a really good focus for us all, and it happens all over the world. And it's really important to be part of that. And we will, we include things happening from other parts of the world. I guess it's up to everybody to realise that if we do raise issues during that time, there's absolutely no reason why they can't be taken up and explored and exploited for the rest of the year. On the contrary, it may well inspire people to do so. So it behoves every single one of us here to come up with something, not expecting other people to do it, but to do it ourselves. And to, if you want to raise an event or put on a talk or a party or whatever it is you would like to do, and seek help. I mean, to explore the idea of women's health, find professional help to do that. I learned, I have to say, a slight aside, a very frightening fact the other day, that a lot of surgeons learn on men's bodies. And unfortunately, they've been finding out that women's bodies are different. And only recently have they been exploring this. And this is absolutely extraordinary. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we should fight for. And it's also very important, I'm proud to Anna for bringing it up, to understand how we must have at least 50% of women in Parliament. And until we achieve it, we're only at 30% at the moment, but we need more than 50%, obviously, and it really is important that we are represented. So we have to take responsibilities for our future, but most of all, we need to celebrate ourselves, because we're good women, and please do this in Women's History Month. Oh, and last year, over 50 organisations participated, so I want to beat that record. Thank you.
Okay, let's make it happen. Thank you, Maggie. If you've got ideas, you just want to bash some ideas around, you want to ask Maggie what can she help with connecting you up, but I feel like you can be already quite connected. I'll do mail out so you can have each other's emails if it's okay with people. That sounds like it's a yes. Any final thoughts, initial final thoughts? Both are fine.
Just because you're talking so much about representation and women in the arts, I think women should always be paid equally as well. I don't know if you talked about it because I arrived a bit late, but yeah, the importance of equal pay as well. I'd say it's true.
Yeah, we
I don't
haven't
know, or
actually,
to
yeah.
be paid, because you do so much volunteer work. But like, we can choose, to volunteer if you want to, but I think you should always be paid. Yeah.
Okay, big up that point. So volunteering is nice, but we should get paid for our work and should not be underestimated. Okay, this is like the moment when I just put the final call for final thoughts. And if you've got something that you want to chip in this last moment, please do it now. If you're not Maggie, just 1 second. Okay, Maggie, you can grab the mic. The floor is yours.
16 days. Do you know what 16 days is at the moment? It's 16 days of campaigning for violence against women. Right now. So think about that. Right now happening. And then the other thing I really want to do is thank you, Margot, very much indeed for running this like this. And Mikey and Laura. That's the people speak, and you did do that. Thank you.
Well, fab. Listen, people, thank you so much. This is my outro music. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Alternative Arts, and thank you. Pick up yourselves. I'm just going to go for one of these. And thank you again for joining us for the 4th chapter of the Women's Network East London Talkaoke. And we pop up here, there, and everywhere. We've got one event coming up on the 8th of December in our studio. It will be intergenerational, and it's a fundraiser for Ukraine. You can find out all about it from our website. Anyway, thank you. Bye.